Our special guest today is my dear friend and partner in the Nurturing Spirit Retreats, Vickie MacArthur. Vickie's yoga studio is Spirit in Motion Yoga, and you'll find her contact info and her links in the chat as well. Vickie will also lead us in our meditations today. Welcome, Vickie.
Thank you, Deborah. And it's so lovely to see everyone that's shown up. I'm quite touched to have you all here. And I'm so excited about sharing my memories from Plum Village, as well as some pictures and some readings from my upcoming book. So some of you might already be aware and familiar with Thich Nhat Hanh and Plum Village, but just a little introduction to him. Plum Village is Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh's practice center in southern France. And Thich Nhat Hanh is one of the world's most famous and beloved Buddhist teachers in the world. Born in central Vietnam in 1926, he joined a Zen monastery at age 16, becoming fully ordained in 1949. In the early 1960s, he couldn't stay quietly meditating in his monastery while his country and villages were being destroyed during the Vietnam War. So he went out to help alleviate the suffering of all those affected. He coined the term engaged Buddhism as a way of balancing meditation with engaged action in the world. He traveled to the US to teach and to advocate for an end to the war, but when he went to return to Vietnam, he was not welcome and was exiled from his home country for over 30 years. He established Plum Village in France in 1982 and has established many practice centers around the world. He is the author of over 100 books and has traveled extensively around the world teaching the art of mindful living. So I invite you into a Plum Village style meditation. And so I invite you to get yourself comfortable, whether you're sitting in a chair or a cushion. If you're sitting on a chair, it's nice to have your feet grounded and sitting up nice and tall. And one of the practices that we always start with at the monastery is to listen to the sound of the bell. And when we're at retreat, throughout the day, bells will ring, and it's an invitation to stop whatever we're doing and whatever we're thinking, to come back to our breath, to come home to our bodies, to come into the present moment. And so I'm going to invite 3 sounds of the bell to invite us into this sacred space together. And so I invite you, if you haven't already done so, to close your eyes and just take a deep breath in. And as you exhale, feel yourself simply settling into your space, into your chair. Feel yourself held by the earth beneath us. And perhaps even imagining you're at Plum Village in southern France, amidst the beautiful vineyards and the gently rolling hills, sitting in a meditation hall with the trees gently waving outside the windows. And bring your awareness to the breath. And as you breathe in, feel yourself breathing in. And as you breathe out, feel yourself breathing out. So in Plum Village style meditation, we use some breathing gathas or some words and phrases to help us focus. So breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I'm aware that I'm breathing out. And that may seem like it's too many words, so we can shorten it down, and you're just saying silently in your own mind. In, as you breathe in, and out, as you breathe out. And so simply connecting to the rhythm of your own breath. Noticing the quality of your breath. Allowing yourself to feel that sense of settling with every out breath. And as your body begins to settle, the mind begins to settle as well with practice. And the next breathing gatha is breathing in deep, breathing out slow. As you breathe in, saying silently to yourself, deep, to feel the deepness of your breath. And as you breathe out, slow. When we focus on the breath in this way, the breath naturally slows down, smooths out, and lengthens, calming our nervous system. Deep, slow. Breathing in calm, breathing out with ease. So breathing in that beautiful calm energy. And as you breathe out, feel a sense of easing any tension or discomfort you feel in your body. It's helpful repeating those words silently. Calm as you breathe in. Ease as you breathe out. Feel a softening of your face, your skin, your mind. And now breathing in, I smile. Breathing out, I release. And so this gentle smile of the Buddha, the awakened one. And as you exhale, gently releasing. Releasing any thoughts or worries or concerns. Releasing any tension. Anything that gets in the way of a peaceful, calm sense. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a taste of a Plum Village meditation here. So I'm going to see if I can start my screen share here. It worked. Yay. So my story begins in Vancouver in 2011 at an open mind, open heart retreat with Buddhist master Thich Nhat Hanh. My mother had just passed away from ovarian cancer, and so I went in a very raw and vulnerable state. And yet at one point during the retreat, I got to sit very close to Thai, as he's known, and our eyes met. And I received a beautiful transmission of love that was beyond my words to describe. It was a moment of spiritual awakening. And so the seeds for my book, Love Letters to My Teacher, How a Buddhist Monk Ignited the Love in My Heart, were planted in that moment. 10 years later, I finally completed the manuscript for this memoir style book that tells the story of my divine love affair, not really with Thai, but with the universal love he points to. And so this is how I describe the book in my introduction. This is the story of what I call a spiritual love affair with a gentle Vietnamese monk who is known endearingly to thousands of students and disciples around the world as Thai, the Vietnamese word for teacher. Others know him better by his full name and title, Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. While the story seemingly takes place in the world we can touch and see, it's really the story of a divine love affair that takes place in the world we cannot see, the hidden depths of our hearts. It is the story of a kind of love we all long for, and the silent yearning of the soul to be embraced by a love that has no body and no bounds. Perhaps it is really a symbolic story of our deepest collective hopes and aspirations. This love story seemingly begins August 12th, 2011, at a large retreat with Thich Nhat Hanh. Yet this love story really has no beginning or end. The title of the retreat, Open Heart, Open Mind, was the perfect foreshadowing for the life-changing experience I was about to have. This moment of awakening felt like what the Sufis describe as a kiss to the back of the heart, a metaphor for the secret, intimate place we keep closely guarded in the depths of our heart. It is a place where our deepest joys and our deepest suffering and sadness are intertwined. It's a secret place that no other human being can ever fully understand or touch. It's the part of us that is healed and transformed by love. It's the sleeping part of me that Thai awakened in that timeless moment. Since receiving Thai's transmission of love beyond boundaries, my spiritual path has been to somehow find my way back to that state of love and interbeing in myself. This is the hard, everyday work of staying present to whatever is arising, peeling back the layers of who I am and who we all are together. A good teacher always points us back to the original state of love that we already are. They are mirrors that perfectly reflect that love. It is the journey of a lifetime, and I am plodding away one small step at a time. This is the story of those steps along the way, using the map of my own inner compass and the light of Thai's teachings and love. So I've chosen to read a few select passages today. And this next passage describes being at a formal Buddhist service to receive what's called the 5 mindfulness trainings, or the Buddhist precepts. And this is the day after my experience of looking in Thai's eyes. So I'm just trying to find how to take it to the next picture.
We did see an arrow that, yeah, did it
Yeah,
work?
there it is. I had everybody else's picture on top, so I couldn't see it. All right. Saturday, August 13th, 2011. I am sitting in the middle of a large group of people in the very center of the gym, or meditation hall, at UBC. We are sandwiched between a solid wall of monastics sitting Buddha-like in long formal lines on either side of us. The nuns facing us on one side and monks on the other, all in their bright yellow Sangati robes draped over their usual brown robes for the formal ceremony. The actual ceremony is something of a blur. I still have that dreamy feeling of being in love with everyone and everything since looking in Thai's eyes. I bow and touch the earth many times in gratitude to all my ancestors and teachers, biological, spiritual, cultural, and to Mother Earth herself. With hands pressed together at my heart, I promise to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. With an earnest trust in my heart, I say yes to each of the 5 mindfulness trainings as they are read aloud, not yet understanding the depth of these beautiful principles for living. After my experience yesterday with Thai, I feel like my whole life has just shifted, Like tectonic plates, this shift is causing a huge crack in the protective armoring of my carefully guarded heart. And so, what are the 5 mindfulness trainings? The 5 mindfulness trainings represent the Buddha's vision for a global spirituality and ethic. They are a concrete expression of the Buddha's teachings on the 4 Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path, the path of right understanding and true love, leading to healing, transformation, and happiness for ourselves and for the world. To practice the 5 mindfulness trainings is to cultivate the insight of interbeing, or right view, which can remove all discrimination, intolerance, anger, fear, and despair. If we live according to the 5 mindfulness trainings, we are already on the path of a bodhisattva. Knowing we are on that path, we are not lost in confusion about our life in the present or in fears about the future. The first mindfulness training, reverence for life. Aware of the suffering caused by the destruction of life, I am committed to cultivating the insight of interbeing and compassion and learning ways to protect the lives of people, animals, plants, and minerals. The second mindfulness training, true happiness. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I am committed to practicing generosity in my thinking, speaking, and acting. The third mindfulness training, true love. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I am committed to cultivating responsibility and learning ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. The fourth mindfulness training, loving speech and deep listening. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful speech and the inability to listen to others, I am committed to cultivating loving speech and compassionate listening in order to relieve suffering and to promote reconciliation and peace in myself and among other people, ethnic and religious groups, and nations. And finally, the fifth mindfulness training, nourishment and healing. Aware of the suffering caused by unmindful consumption, I am committed to cultivating good health, both physical and mental, for myself, my family, and my society by practicing mindful eating, drinking, and consuming. And so this gives us Thai's vision for these global principles that would lead to world peace. After the ceremony is over, we are instructed to meet with our Dharma family teacher to receive our 5 mindfulness training certificate. I receive a simple embossed copy of the 5 mindfulness trainings, dated and signed by Thich Nhat Hanh of the 42nd generation of the Lam Te Linji Dhyana School. I can feel the long line of ancestral teachers transmitting their love and wisdom through Thai. The certificate also reveals my new Dharma name. This name is usually bestowed by the Dharma family teacher. However, when Sister Tuwari hands me my certificate, she looks at me meaningfully and says, Your deep aspiration to be a bridge between Buddhism and Christianity is a bit different than most aspirations, so I had to go a little higher up for your name. I wonder if it was Thai that gave me this name. My new spiritual name, Divine Oneness of the Heart, feels like the perfect expression of my aspiration and vow to build bridges between different spiritual traditions. Let's listen to a sound of the bell. Come back to your breath. So almost a year later, I traveled to Plum Village, France, for the 21-day retreat. And I found myself wondering what it would be like to be in Thai's presence again. Monday, June 4th. Can you read my mind? I begin with a quote by Thai from Cultivating the Mind of Love. Our mind of love may be buried deep in our store consciousness, under many layers of forgetfulness and suffering. The teacher's role is to help us water it, to help it manifest. And so now my writing is in the format of letters to Thai that I wrote down in my journal all through many years. And so in this one, having arrived at Plum Village, I write, Dear Thai, yesterday in walking meditation, you led us through a stately line of poplar trees into the quiet depth of the forest, with a small stream trickling through it. It's a true miracle that so many people can walk so quietly through the forest when they are being mindful of their steps. I think Mother Earth must have been very happy to receive all of our loving steps. And this is a video, just a tiny snippet of what it's like to walk with Thai in walking meditation. A little tilt of the camera so you could see all the quietly walking feet. And so this is the poplar grove we walked through. You might notice that it's a different season of the year, so I kind of cheated a little bit and got this picture from another time that I visited Plum Village. Like the Buddha is looking out over the forest. And here you can see the full line of people. There can be over 1,000 people at these retreats with Thai. And such an amazing feeling just to walk quietly with that many people. And just enjoy the sound of the birds and the wind in the trees. And we enter into the depths of the forest, crossing by a stream. And finally sitting all together in the forest. You can see some of the monks there. And back to my letter. We crossed a tiny bridge, then wound our way out of the forest and into a clearing where you stopped and gracefully sat on a mat provided by your attendant. A rustling of jackets and mats and backpacks, and soon we all found a place to stand or sit, to enjoy in silence the peaceful energy. A few people took their cameras out as well, quietly taking advantage of this moment to be so close to you. I remembered a time in our walking meditation back in Vancouver when I raised my camera to take a picture of you. I put it away when I realized that I was mindlessly treating you as an object. Yet now I really want to have a picture of you to take home from Plum Village. And so I took out my camera and breathed into the place where I feel you in my heart center. Then, silently in my mind, I asked you if I could take your picture. To my utter surprise, you turned and looked directly at me with a knowing look in your eyes and a beautiful smile on your face. With one click, this image was saved on my camera and engraved on my heart. So amazing being so close to Ty. There's just this peaceful, loving energy. Today, you start your Dharma talk at the meditation hall at Upper Hamlet. We start with meditation. There is something very powerful about sitting quietly in meditation together with over 1,000 people. The field of concentration feels very strong, and I imagine all this peaceful energy rippling out into the world. And so this is the meditation hall at Upper Hamlet. There's actually 3 different hamlets at Plum Village, and some are there, it's walkable, and others you have to take a bus in between, winding through these winding roads in the vineyards. And so here is this huge meditation hall from inside. You can see it's set up with all the mats and cushions, and you can see the big meditation bell in the middle that really vibrates and reverberates through your body. So always at the beginning of a Dharma talk with Thai, the monastics, the monks and the nuns come and they will chant. And that's also very powerful. Thai will be inviting the bell. And it's just, again, that vibrant sense of energy and aliveness and peacefulness. And here's the meditation hall now full. And so you can imagine if you've been in a meditation group and you feel that moment when everybody settles into meditation together, it's such an amazing moment. And so you can imagine it expanded even more with that many people. You begin your talk by saying, "This sitting is like sitting under the Bodhi tree. Meditation gives us the time to look deeply." You glance briefly at me. I have the feeling that somehow you know I'm staying in the Bodhi room at Gatehouse. Do you have these secret messages for everyone listening to your talks? A word here, a glance there, a silent transmission of love and wisdom from your heart to ours. This feeling that you can somehow read my mind leaves me feeling very vulnerable and exposed. It's like you can see beyond the mask I wear to the thoughts and feelings I sometimes hide from others, and even things buried deep in my unconscious mind. After your Dharma talk, once again you lead us in walking meditation, this time winding down the side of the hill by your hut at Upper Hamlet, then following a path through the forest until we come to the foot of a grassy hill. As I follow the mass of people up the hill, I realize that among the trees at the top are 12 stone Buddhas, silent sentinels looking out over the vast valley below. You stop to sit in their midst, and we all find a place to sit scattered among the statues. Perhaps we are all Buddhas to be. And so this is looking forwards from, I'm up on the hill now, and you can just see these silent stone statues of the Buddhas. It's a very sacred space. It has such beautiful energy there. And now looking out from behind the Buddhas, and you can see a little bit of the hills and valleys beyond. So it's very nice to just go and sit here amongst this energy. Obviously, I've taken some pictures when people weren't there. And now here's some people, and I love this picture with the monk just sitting there behind the stone Buddha, and other people as well. Another view. And this is me and Puspa. She's a woman I met there from London. And she's actually a devotee and follower of Mother Meera, the Indian saint. And yet she had come to visit Plum Village to meet Thich Nhat Hanh. Just a beautiful, beautiful woman. So it's so wonderful the kind of people you meet at these retreats. And so I find a place to sit close to you, Ty. Yet this time I'm so nervous, my thoughts are scattered like the leaves shaking in the trees above us. How does one be completely present with a wise teacher who seems to know your every thought? This is nothing like the first time I looked in your eyes in Vancouver. This time, my self-consciousness and judgment gets in the way. With no place to hide, this time my heart turns to stone. Like the rough stone Buddhas on the hill, your stern Zen master face reflects the closing off of my own heart. And so a very different picture of Thai. I feel self-absorbed. I'm so confused about how this relationship with you works and how to act in your presence. I know I'm overthinking. I simply need to return to my breath and practice and trust that everything will be revealed in time. A lot can happen in 21 days. Or then again, perhaps nothing at all. It all depends on me and my willingness to shed the protective walls I've built around my heart. Shall we listen to another bell? Come back to our breath. Wednesday, June 20th. Plum Village celebrates 30 years. Dear Thai, today we celebrated the 30th birthday of Plum Village with a big party, Plum Village style, a testament to your teachings and practices of mindfulness across the globe. There is so much history to celebrate, from the humble beginnings of a rustic farm homestead that became Upper Hamlet, then in time adding Lower Hamlet, and finally New Hamlet. And so you can see the poster here. There were a lot of his calligraphies on display, his mindful art, and below you can see these dancers with their beautiful fans. This is a picture of a picture at the exhibit. It's Thai as a young man when he first arrived in France, holding a sunflower. And, you can just see the joy in his face and this vision of creating the practice center and for the teachings to spread all around the world. Back to my journals. I often wish I could have attended smaller, intimate retreats with you back then. Now they have grown into international retreats of over 1,000 people at a time from all over the world. Still, you certainly realized your dream of creating a healthy, nourishing environment away from the rush of everyday life, where people can learn to live in peace with each other and in harmony with the earth. We are hosting the celebration at New Hamlet, so there is a flurry of activity to prepare for the arrival of all those from the other hamlets. There is an exhibit of all the books you have written over the past 30 years, including original signed copies of your classics, Miracle of Mindfulness and Peace is Every Step. All the nuns are excited to be preparing for you, our beloved teacher. Their deep love for you shines in their eyes. And so just a few pictures of some of the nuns and the beauty that they exhibit, the light in their eyes. And this is long line of the nuns chanting at the beginning of a Dharma talk. And I love this picture. So traditionally back in the time of the Buddha, they would have begging bowls and they would go around the village and beg for their food to be supported by the other people. And so they were just had this little processional of the of these ancient times. And you can also see their Vietnamese sun hats, which come in very handy during hot weather. In June, it was getting quite hot in France. And some very gifted musicians amongst some of the monastics. This is Sister Trinine, plays a beautiful violin. There's also a brother that plays the cello, that was a concert cellist, played in concert halls all over Europe and North America, but gave that up to take his vows. And this is kind of a happy-go-lucky picture of the sisters just kind of smiling and kibitzing and playing. Such joy. And here they are doing a traditional dance with the fans again. Later, that deep love is reflected in your own eyes as you sit in the Buddha garden, watching your new Hamlet nuns dance and reenact one of your poems. I see the young Vietnamese boy in you smile excitedly at the next dragon dance as monks transform into a long dragon undulating from side to side, with a large fiery head bobbing up and down. Well, I don't have a picture of the dragon, but I do have this priceless look on Ty's face as he's watching the dances and the dragon. And here he's actually offering, I think it's a chestnut, to the dragon. Again, I just have the picture of Ty, which is lovely as well. After the dances and music, we all enjoy our picnic lunches. With the stone Buddhas in the garden solemnly watching over us, it feels as if we are all sitting around a smiling, living Buddha. I could have sworn I saw one of the stone Buddhas wink. Can you see one of them wink? How precious these moments are with you, our teacher, so close. I close my eyes to savor the moment, then hear someone announce birthday cupcakes, a rare sweet treat at Plum Village. Yes, indeed, a sweetness beyond taste flows like honey all through my mind and my body. As I look out over the sea of smiling, joyful faces, I see bodhisattvas everywhere, spreading like the ocean. It is a deep tribute to your life of compassion and sacred activism. And so just some of the faces and people that I got to know there. This is Janice. She's actually from North Vancouver in Canada. And she's got the beautiful fan, breathe and smile. And I think this woman's name is Margaret. I can't quite remember. Just beautiful people. This is Janice again, and can you see behind her the lotus pond? And you can see some of the lotus flowers are just starting to blossom. And it's really interesting for the 21-day retreats. It always starts on June the 1st and goes to the 21st. And I think Ty has it timed because when you first arrive, there's just starting to bud, or there's not even any buds. And then by the end of the 21-day retreat, it's just awash in all of these beautiful blossoms. And I think I have a picture. Yeah, a few more. This is Quinn from New Mexico, and you can see more of the lotus blossoms there. Another dear friend. This fellow is a choral teacher, and so he would teach us some music and have us all singing in different parts, and just beautiful to sing together. Some more beautiful souls. This is Lynn. She was my roommate. She's from California. Love those blue glasses on her. In 2014, Ty suffered a massive stroke that left him unable to walk and unable to speak. In 2019, he expressed his wish to return to his root temple in Vietnam to peacefully live out the remainder of his days. Those who are with him say he teaches from a different space now, a place of silent, loving presence. Let's listen to one more sound of the bell. So thank you for accompanying me on these memories and these pictures and listening.
Thank you so much, Vickie. It's really a treat to get to experience that through your eyes and your ears and your hands and your feet that touched the grass and walked those paths. Thank you. We'll take questions now. If you have questions for Vickie, I'll ask Barbara and Rhonda to watch for hands waving in case I miss them. But does anyone have a question for Vickie? And I have got a couple screens going here, so I should be able to see. I wondered when you were doing the sitting in the forest. It was a silent walk, I'm assuming, that you were on, and then you all sat down, maybe with a back to a tree or somewhere in that forest. Was there any verbal guidance at all, or was that experience all silent?
It was mostly all silent, actually. And I mean, you get lots of time to practice. And the retreat is not completely silent. So you're silent, through the morning through to lunchtime, through after lunch, there's a rest period. And then in the afternoon, there's actually these smaller, you break into small Dharma family groups. So there's some sharing that happens there, kind of like our listening to the soul groups, actually. Um,
Mhm.
so there is that chance to kind of process or share what's your experience and to receive other people's support. But in the middle of the forest, yeah, it's just that sinking into the silence of the forest and listening to the trees. Um, Ty will usually find a place, that just has that sense of resonance, and he usually sits down, and then we'd all sit down, and he always has his small bell in his pocket. And so he will invite the sound of the bell. And children are often welcome at the retreats, especially summer retreats. And so at that time, he'll often invite children to come and invite the bell. So it's just such precious time to be with him.
Thank you,
Vickie,
Vicki.
you had, can you hear me?
Yes,
Vic,
is that Shirley?
yes. Now a couple of times you had that square necklace on. Did you all receive one of those when you got there?
No, that was a special gift from a yoga friend of me, and it had Shanti on it. And I think it was on one of my trips to Plum Village that I actually lost it. So I have now replaced it with a different necklace, which is a pure gold. And it's had a mantra chanted in while it was being forged. So meaningful necklaces, but no, we didn't receive that there.
Yeah. And
We
did
have
the
a
monks, regardless of sex, all have their hair removed?
Yes. So that's they take many vows, but one is the vow to shave their heads as a symbol of letting go of the world. And but I'm always amazed for some people how stunning they are. Like some of these nuns, so beautiful and stunning, both inside and out. But yeah, so it's done in a formal ceremony um, when they take their vows, and the symbolic removing of the hair.
we have a question from Sandy McConaughey. Um, do you know what is happening at Plum Village these days? Right now, is there anything happening?
No, of course, the monastics and the monks live at um, at Plum Village. That's their home, but they've had to close all the centers around the world, and there's many. And so that has drastically affected their income because they rely a lot on these offering these large retreats. So there has been some fundraisers, and people have been uh, donating. I just saw an email this morning from Magnolia Grove, that's on the east coast of Canada, and they are opening up just for a half day for Vesak, which is the Buddha's birthday, and they're inviting people back. So I imagine people that live close to that monastery will be so happy to return and then over time start to open it up for the retreats.
Brian asked a very easy to answer question. How do you bridge the gap between Buddhism and Christianity?
Mm. Brian, that's a deep, deep question, and probably beyond my capacity to answer just in a short answer. Um, Ty has a book, Living Buddha, Living Christ. And it's been my experience that a lot of the seeming gaps that we have between religions are in the surface beliefs. But when we go deeper into what we call the mystical roots, the felt reality of love at the root of all the world religions, we find that universal principle of loving kindness, loving ourselves, loving each other, loving and caring, being compassionate. And that seems to simply overflow and sometimes get misconstrued into separate beliefs. I feel like quite often it's the words that get in the way, that we use a lot of different words to refer to the same reality. There's many names for God. So that's just a short answer, Brian. But as I mentioned, if you're interested in more connections between Buddhism and Christianity, you can look up the book Living Buddha, Living Christ. It's a classic written over 20 years ago, I think, by Thai.
Thank you. That was very well explained.
I don't
We,
know, I tried.
we have a question from Kat. What is it like for you now, knowing that it is unlikely that you will see Thich Nhat Hanh in this life again?
Hmm. Thanks, Kat. And nice to see you on this call. Um, so I've made peace with that. And, I had a very intense time between 2011 and 2014 where I got to see Ty at a retreat every single year, and in fact, twice in 2013. And because he was getting older all the time, every time I left a retreat, I felt like this was possibly the last time I might see him and be in his presence. And especially in 2014 at a retreat, the 21-day retreat at Plum Village in France again. And the title of that was What Happens When We Die? And so that's what we were exploring the whole time. And it felt like Ty was just pouring all of his wisdom, all of his teachings into us, and we could just receive them. And I don't know, but I think he had an inkling that something was going to happen, that he was either going to die or get seriously ill like he did. And so when I left that retreat, I was just so grateful for the teachings. And as I speak about a lot in my book, I take a little bit of Thai in my heart. And Thai always says that his disciples, his monastics, his students are all like a continuation of him, because we take these teachings and we make them ours and we live them out in our life. And so at the end of the retreat, Ty said, "What happens when we die? We don't die. You'll continue to, we live and transform through through each other. We live out through our children, our grandchildren, whether they're biological or spiritual." And Ty, I know, believes that he is living through all of his spiritual children.
Does anyone else have a question for Vickie before we go into our final closing meditation? Just looking for hands. Was that Janet waving, or were you? Yes, go ahead, Janet. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, Vickie.
Hello.
I was just wondering if all the meals at the retreat were served together with that many people? How did they accommodate that many people? And were the meals vegan? And did they practice fasting as well?
Oh, there's a lot of questions, Jen.
Too
Good
many questions, I guess.
to see you as well. And I'm so glad that you asked about the food. Yes, it is all vegan. And it is served in a serving line, like buffet style, and then you would help yourself to it. Now, keep in mind too that there's three different hamlets there, so they would be serving out of three different kitchens and dining rooms. So with 1,000 people, you're down to 3 or 350 people. That's still a lot of people
Mm.
to feed. And the wonderful thing about it too is there's a lot of Vietnamese monks and nuns. And oh my gosh, the Vietnamese vegan food is to die for. It's so delicious, and just the way that it is spiced, and it's just very good. And boy, at the end of, I mean, I'm vegetarian, I'm not completely vegan. But at the end of a retreat of 21 days, boy, you just feel like your whole body, after all that meditation, after good and healthy food, and just being out in nature so much, it's just, yeah, I want to live this way. And then we get back to the reality of our life, and we do our best to incorporate the teachings. I think your last question was about fasting, was
Mhm.
it?
Did they use fasting as a practice for meditation, like a meditation practice?
Yeah, there's not a formal fasting, um, but there is the invitation to eat lightly. And some of the monastics would follow the tradition of either fasting the evening meal or eating very lightly at the evening meal. And so I think that dates back to the time of the Buddha, actually. So thank you.
Thank you.
Mm.
Well, thank you so much, Vickie. This has been a wonderful presentation again, and you're always welcome back as often as you want to come back.
Thank you. I will.
I'll tell you right now that our guest next week will be another dear friend of both mine and Vickie's, Lana Cullis, and her talk will be on wonder and mental health, immediate practices with powerful impact. Alana couldn't be here today, so she gave me a few things to share with you. She says, do you ever question how one moment of trauma can cause such havoc with life, and yet healing practices may seem to take months or years of discipline to restore well-being? In this session, we will explore the possibility that our brains, spirits, and emotions do respond to brief interventions with enduring results. We will welcome together recent and traditional learning that promotes ongoing hope in an unpredictable world. I think that sounds like just what we need right now. I'd like to remind you that you're welcome to join me for coffee and meaningful conversation tomorrow, when our topic will be relationships with our neighbors, and we're going to explore how we make them work and how we make them not work and how that affects us. Our next satsang, Singing into Silence, will be Saturday, June 12th, and one of our hosts, Doug MacArthur, Vickie's husband, will be sharing some of his original music. Our next book club book is Talking to Strangers by Malcolm Gladwell, and that's on June 21st. I'm reading the book right now. It is fabulous. And there's links to everything else in the chat, so you can copy the chat. If you don't know how, you can go down to the bottom where it says File, and beside File there's three little dots. Click on the dots and click Save Chat. Just don't, then once you click Save Chat, you want to save that folder so you know where it went to on your computer. And now we will close with our closing meditation, and Vickie's going to lead us in that.
One can never listen to too many bells, And the invitation from this listening to the bell practice is to begin to listen to many bells in your life. There's lots of apps that you can program a bell into your phone that will go off during the day, so you can just take a breath. I have bells in my computer, so when I'm madly typing away, the bell goes and I remember to breathe. So it's like a retraining of our mind. So I invite you into just a short closing meditation here. Returning back to the feeling, the gift of your breath. And just sensing how you feel now in this moment. Now, if we put all of those meditation words together as you breathe, in, out, deep, slow, calm, ease, smile, release, present, moment, wonderful moment. And feeling this sense of this sacred gathering. One of the things that Ty always says is that we can't do these practices alone. Well, we can practice, but we need a sangha. We need a community of practice together. And so I thank you for your time this evening. And if I didn't get to your questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions by email. So namaste. Peace to all.